Hey everybody, welcome once again to Transform Church Online. I can't wait to get into the message and hear what our speaker has for us today. Before we do, please do us a favour by sharing this broadcast on your social media platform so we can reach others with these life-transforming messages. This is as simple as clicking the thumbs up icon on Facebook, or if you're joining on YouTube, please do the same and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We would love to see you in person. Please visit us at 88 Agar Drive, Truganina. That's in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Now, as we get into the message, feel free to engage with us and share your thoughts on the message, or just say hi and let us know where you're watching from. Let's jump right into it now and join our speaker for today, Pastor Gregory J. Williams, as he brings us the message titled, Investing Matters.
This topic. So maybe you haven't thought about it in this fashion, maybe you haven't considered it, but here's the title I have for you. It's called Investing Matters. Right? Turn to your neighbor and say, Investing Matters. But before that, I just want to thank everyone. Last week we had our official opening. How awesome was that? And I want to thank everyone that contributed to that, whether you came and set up in this building and put things together and organize people and organize things. Just put your hands together and thank them for that. I also want to thank all the people that contributed to the construction of the building. There are so many people that came and gave time and energy and all those wonderful things to enable us to be here. So put your hands together for them as well. There's too many people to mention. There's names. You know who you are, and we appreciate you and we thank you, right? And I remember going through this whole process, and it was actually a very expensive process, right? Expensive to get into this building. You know, just to buy this warehouse building cost us $1.8 million. And then all the rest of it cost us significantly more than that. And there's times in that journey, I sat there and considered, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we just won the lottery? Right? That'd be awesome, because you know what? We wouldn't have any money concerns at all, because we could do whatever we want, whenever we want, because we have this whole bunch of money sitting right there. And no money concerns at all. You know, so I was thinking that, which would even be a bigger miracle, because I don't actually play the lottery, so I don't know how I would win. But anyway, the thought still was there. But maybe you've had a conversation. Have you ever sat down with friends or family and said, hey, what would you do if you won the lottery? How would your life change? Or what would you do with that lottery winnings, right? And what most people would say is like, hey, maybe I would quit my job, because, you know, I don't have to work anymore. I've won like $40 million, and that should take care of everything. Some people go like, I'm going to buy my dream house. The guys would be like, I'm going to buy my dream car, you know, trick it out with all the best stuff, go on a holiday, all the stuff. So have you thought about it? What would you do if you won $40 million? How would your life change? What would you do with that? See, the reality is that most of us begin by thinking about ourselves. We don't think about our long-term goal. We don't think about our future. We don't think about how this money could benefit maybe the community or even the church or anyone else. We basically start thinking about ourselves. And maybe we'll go, yeah, now that you mentioned it, of course I'll give some money to charity. You know, I'll take care of that. It's not like I'm going to just think about myself, but the genesis of where we would spend that money starts with ourselves. Primarily, we focus on ourselves because we like instant gratification. Most people don't even think about investing for a long-term return, because it's right here, right now. I'm going to have this money. I never had it before. I'm just going to use it on what I want, what I always wanted, what I dreamed about. It's my dream. And after all, why shouldn't we? That's what we're told, right? In the culture that we live in, everything in our world is geared towards instant fulfillment. You want that new car? Go ahead, get it. You want a new phone? You don't have to wait. You can get it right now. A brand new kitchen? Wow, you can get it right now. What about a new wardrobe? That's right. Put it on the card. You know, easy payments. All those things, it's all great. Don't worry about the payment. You can worry about that later. Right now, you can get your brand new stuff. Instant coffee, express post, next day delivery, all of it is geared towards our immediate, instant gratification. So why wouldn't you, if you want a lot of money, think about gratifying yourself? Did you know that most lottery winners are broke in about 7 years? That's what stats tell us. And you think, how could you spend $40 million in a few years and have nothing left, bankrupt? It's funny how much our values and our views change when we're in different situations. And I know what most of you are thinking. You're thinking, I won't do that. I'll be wise. I know how to manage this stuff because, I'm not going to be like them. And you know what? Most of the people who were in your shoes or sat in the same seats you did were thinking the exact same thing you are thinking right now until they won the lottery. 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt within a few years. You can Google it. Obtaining more money often leads to careless spending, and the desire for more money and the greed associated with it can be destructive to the winners and their families. And there's another lesson there. Money can buy happiness, but that's not our topic for today. We'll get to that another time. But for most of us, we are on this road for instant gratification. We want it now. Or in fact, we want it yesterday. We don't like to wait for anything. Traffic, lines, coffee. If it's less than, if it's more than 2 minutes, forget it. I'm upset. But here's the odd thing. Here's the thing maybe you've never considered, or maybe you've never seen it in this way. The odd thing about instant gratification. When we get things instantly, we don't often value them as the way we should. And if you put that into perspective, and you put that on a scale, when you look at it, what we desire and what we value are actually on opposite spectrums. We might want food fast, but we value food that's cooked well and is healthy. We want that cheesecake because we saw it looks good, but we value a healthy body, right? And we know that's not good for us, but we do it anyway. We want instant success in every avenue of our life, but we value experience and well-planned strategy. We desire sexual gratification, but we really want intimacy of a relationship. There's value in purity. There's value in good wisdom. There's value in good friendships. We value a good marriage. And all those things come with time. They take time to develop, right? And we know this because as adults, we understand this concept. We know that something of value comes with time. It's like you go to the gym and you sign up for a gym membership. You don't expect tomorrow to have a hot body just because you sign up at the gym, right? You know you have to put in some time. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some commitment. It's going to take some investment before you get to the place that you desire. Just because you watch a driving video on YouTube doesn't mean that you're going to be qualified as an F1 driver next week. Or maybe you grew up playing video games and driving games where you're fantasy. That doesn't automatically qualify you for a driver's license, does it? Just because you want something now doesn't mean that you're going to get it. And we understand this as adults. When you invest in stocks or the stock market, you're not an instant millionaire tomorrow. It takes some time. For most of us, we understand the value of things that come with time, but we struggle with the desire for getting instant gratification. Now, if you're a Christ follower, this is where you lean in, especially if you follow Jesus. God understands the dichotomy of our desire and our values. Because we desire something, but not often do we have the same thing, value placed on it, because we want instantly, but we understand that something of value always comes with time. And here's what's important. He loves you too much to cheapen your life with instant gratification. Because he knows you won't place any value on it. He values you too much, and he paid a too high a price for your life not to mean much. And because he values you so much, he wants to build in you something that lasts, that can only happen over time. Because your life, your worth, your value does not come from what you surround yourself with. Your value does not come from your bank account. It doesn't come from your possessions. It doesn't come from your house. It doesn't come from the things you own, the stuff you have. No, it comes from how much he was willing to pay for your life. That's where your value comes. That's how valuable you are. So, when it comes to investing in a life worth living, it's realizing that it's the journey that builds character and produces value. It's the ups and downs of our life, the twists and turns that shave off the rough edges and smooth us into the character that God desires for us. It's the journey of life. And you look into the scripture so often and you examine all of these Christ followers that committed their life to God and began to write about their experiences. One great example is the great apostle Paul. If you don't know who Paul was, he was actually a Pharisee, which means he was part of the upper echelon of the Jewish religion. He was part of the Sanhedrin. And he actually has written most of our New Testament. And he started out as this proud Pharisee, who would walk around proudly so people would recognize him and say, wow, look at him. He's so great and he's so awesome and he's such a religious man. And he wanted the attention because that's what the Pharisees did. They wanted everyone to notice their stature. And this was a man who would sit in judgment over other people because he thought he was better than them. He sat there at Stephen's stoning, one of the great people that we talk about. And yet it was this proud Pharisee that was brought low and rejected by his own people and stoned and beaten and humbled before he came into what God had designed him for. It's like we rush around life, all of us, grabbing at everything we can find and bringing it into our life and pushing it into our life and thinking that this is what's going to satisfy us. But what it actually does is it makes us selfish, self-centered, proud, jealous, envious, and a whole bunch of other things because we want to grab everything in this world and bring it into ourselves. It's like we're a rough piece of timber, right? And it has all these splinters on it. And we want to go through life saying, this is who we are, and we don't want people to be engaged with us, and we're not part of anything significant because we're just a rough piece of timber on the side. It can't be used for anything, but what we need is that we need someone to examine us. See, because if we're handled as a rough piece of timber, it gives people splinters, and they move away from us because you don't want to hold on to something that's going to hurt you. And most of our relationships exist because we hurt other people because we're hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. And what we need is the master carpenter to come into our life and finesse us and smooth us down and take off all the splinters and make us into a usable piece of timber and put us into something that's part of something greater, that we can be a part of something that builds the kingdom of God. So like the Apostle Paul, he was this person who was rough, and God had to mold him and shape him before he can be used in the kingdom of God. And he was molded through the journey of his life. And he became an amazing example of a great Christ follower. And it was from this vantage point, from this place of experience, having gone through some of the experiences that Paul went through, it taught him the value of his life and the value of what God sees in other people. And then he writes to his fellow Christ followers to impart to them some valuable insight that they can listen to, that they can apply in their life, and we can listen to and apply in our life as well. And so Paul, after he became a Christ follower, he was humbled so much so that God actually got him off his high horse, literally. He fell on his ground and he came to know who Christ was because he was so proud. And then he started going around the known world at that time, speaking about a life transformed by the power of Jesus and what Jesus did in his life. And so he starts out on missionary journeys. And on his first missionary journey, Paul stopped at Galatia, which was a Roman province in Central Asia Minor. The Galatians there received Paul and his message of Jesus warmly and came to faith in Jesus Christ. They began to believe what Paul began to share with them. But when Paul journeyed through his missionary journey and he arrived back at Antioch from his first missionary journey, he received a report that the churches he had started in Galatia were coming under some pressure from some agitators who were challenging Paul's message and truth and trying to undermine him and the message of Jesus by saying basically that you can't live for Jesus if you don't follow the Jewish law. So Paul writes this letter to encourage them and to give them some insight and also to realign their hearts towards Jesus. And so it's so important for us as well because we are under constant pressure and threat from so many things in our world that compete for our attention. And we live in a culture that demands a certain way of thinking, a certain way of living, and a certain way of acting that sometimes comes into conflict with God's view and God's principles and God's value. Because the value and culture of this world is often in opposition to the value and culture that we should be living in. And so Paul begins to write these letters and he begins to tell them, he begins to persuade them about staying the course in our life. And he reminds them that instant gratification doesn't always give you what you really want. It's staying the course in life that actually rewards you with a life worth living. And so he says, this is what is going to happen. Because he reminds us that God is doing something great in each and every one of us. Every single one of us. God has started a good work and he's about to complete it. So don't circumvent God's plan in your life. And so the key question for us as we listen to what Paul is going to tell us this morning is this. Are we invested in what God is doing in our life? Are you invested in what God is doing in your life? Are you participating with God in your life? And you're probably thinking, of course I am. I'm here, aren't I? I mean, I try to make it here every week. What do you mean, am I participating in God's plan for my life? And this is where Paul would say, well, we can tell whether you're actually participating in God's plan for your life. Just be honest and take a look at your life. So he starts with this. This is what he says. You ready? Don't be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. In other words, here's the principle. Whatever you are sowing into, whatever you are investing in, is what you really care about. And whatever you're investing into is what will give you a return. So let me ask you a question. What are you investing in? Are you investing in your kids? Are you investing in your marriage? Are you investing in the church? Are you investing in your education? Are you investing in your future? Because Paul, and he leverages God in this because he says, you can't fool God. Maybe you can fool people around you. Maybe you can fool your parents, and maybe you can tell them that you're actually studying, but you're actually scrolling through Facebook. Maybe you can fool your boss into thinking you're actually working on a project, but you're surfing the internet. Maybe you can fool people, but you can't fool God. And more importantly, you can't fool you. Because if you don't invest in your education, ultimately, it's you who are going to suffer. You will be the one that will not be ahead in life. You won't have the knowledge to get the job that you want to get and all the rest of it that comes with it. You will be the one who will pay for your bad investments. That's what Paul is saying. If you don't invest in your marriage, then you will not get back in return because they might go seeking attention elsewhere. if you don't invest in your kids when they develop bad habits and when they hang out with the wrong people and you're upset that they hang out with the wrong people, there's no worry because you didn't invest. You're just getting the return of what you did. And I'd love you to read the whole chapter and go back and read this whole book. But Paul is amazing. It's so good because then he continues with this. Let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time, we will reap a harvest, and here's key, if we do not give up. Right? So here's the encouragement for all of us. Here's encouragement for you who feels like you've been putting in the effort and striving and working and pouring in and nothing's coming back. Here's the encouragement. Life seems hard, but you're invested in your future. The end goal, you see down the road. You're not looking for instant gratification because you know that if you invest in something, it's going to give you a great return at the end. Right now, it doesn't feel like it, but we're not interested in instant gratification. We're interested in a successful life. So he says, keep doing good, even when it does not feel like it, even when things don't look like they're going to turn out the way you would turn out, because you are not at the end of your life yet. Your education is not complete yet. Your marriage is not done. Your job is still there. You still have a life to live. So continue to invest in your life. So while you're on the journey of life, keep doing good. Keep investing. Keep participating. And see how God is going to reward you as you commit to doing what He asks you to do. Because again, it's not about instant gratification. It's about the development of your character. Don't throw in the towel when it seems like it's getting hard, because it's at those difficult times that your true character is being formed. If you check out now, if you quit now, if you throw in the towel now, just because it feels a bit rough, you won't see the end result you really desire. Because you won't see the reward. That's what he says. See, we want things instantly, but God is forming character in us. And the only way character can be formed is through some trials and some adversity. Through the rough portions of our life where it feels like we're struggling. You know, anytime you want to make a good-looking diamond, it requires friction. The rough edges need to be taken off. And you might be thinking, why is it so hard? But God is forming character in you. The character is forming is through the circumstances of your life and the journey of your life. We don't always lean in though, right? Because when things get rough, we want to check out. Because we want it now. We want it yesterday. And so we don't always participate in what God is doing in our life. But God needs us to participate to smooth off all the rough edges. There's some attitudes that need to go. There's some language that needs to change. There's some lifestyle choices that need to be eliminated. And it only feels like we're in a struggle that we turn to Him. We're into microwaving, but God is into marinating. We want it instantly, but God likes to take His time and bring out the flavor. Because your character can only come out when He removes all of that microwave. You don't like microwave food, do you? How good would it be to have a nice meal that's prepared by a 5-star chef? And you can walk in, you don't have to pay a thing, the bill's been taken care of, you can drink what you want, eat what you want, and you can walk out as the chauffeur opens the car and you sit in. Because that's what my God will do for you as you walk through the difficult seasons of your life. We want quick fixes, instant answers, and immediate solutions. And then when you don't get them, we turn around and say, where are you, God? I'm struggling. Why aren't I getting anywhere? Why am I going through this mess? Here's what's important for you. If you're in the middle of a season and you're trying and you're pushing and you're striving and doing all the right things and you're not seeing anything, let me remind you, God is with you. He's working in your heart. He's working in your life. He's working in your marriage. He's working on your future. And He's working on your character. Just because you don't see Him does not mean He's not there. Because again, we want instant. But God loves you too much to leave you the way you are. Our investment should not be measured on instant gratification, because things that we value take time to return. Don't give up on your kids. Keep investing in them. Yes, it's hard, and sometimes they give you attitude, and sometimes they don't want to listen, but keep on investing. Keep on investing. Yes, it's hard in your marriage right now, and it feels like things are about to fall apart, but keep loving, keep investing, keep doing good for each other. And of course, take that class. It's hard, but continue doing it. Finish that course, complete that uni, obey that boss. Love that friend. Embrace that family member. It's just hard right now, but don't give up, because you will see what God is going to do in you and through you. And He might not change the situation because He wants to change you. So don't give up. God's got you. He's there with you. And so the question again that comes to us is, but are we participating in God working in our life, in our future, and in our church? Are we invested with Him, or are we checking out when things get hard? When people say, oh, well, it's not working out. See, any great investment does not bring an instant return. It's when it hits maturity that you get a return on investment. So how do you know when it hits maturity? When you see a return. When you see your good marriage, when you see your wonderful kids do well, when you see your success in life. Until then, just keep participating in God's work in your life. Keep investing. Lean into Him when it gets hard. Lean into Him when trouble comes. Lean into Him more when it gets difficult. Lean into more when it feels like giving up and throwing in the towel. Lean into Him more. Because the more you lean into Him, the more you get encouragement and strength. The more you rely on Him, the more you are built up. To emphasize this point, Paul says this: therefore, as we have opportunity, pay close attention to what he says. Therefore, as we have opportunity, here's the thing: we have opportunity all the time. We have opportunity every day. We have so many opportunities that God provides us with every day. We just don't recognize the opportunities when they arrive because our view is focused on the problem or for instant gratification, and we don't see the long run, and so we miss the opportunity to grow and mature. But Paul says, therefore, as we have opportunity, God gives us that. And I want you to lean in and really understand that. God gives us opportunity every day in many circumstances. We just need to recognize it. So he says this: therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people. Not just the ones that are doing good to us, not just the ones that love us, not just the ones that agree with us or think the way we think or do the things the way we do. All people. Even the ones that hate you, because that's what Jesus said. Don't just be the ones that pray for those that despise you. Just don't love the people that love you, because even everyone does that. What makes you different? But love the people that hate you. So Paul says, let us do good to all people. And then he adds the cherry on top, right? Especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Let's do good to everyone, but let's start in the house. If you can't love people that are supposed to be following Jesus, then you have a problem. Because you're not a loving person. Is that harsh? If you can't love people that love Jesus, you have a problem loving. So let's start in the house. Let's start with the people that sit next to us, that we rub shoulders with, that sometimes we put on a fake smile and say everything's well with, but it's not genuine. Maybe drop that smile and speak a truth. Let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of God. Let's keep doing good even when it's hard. Let's keep investing in our kids. Let's keep investing in our marriage. Let's keep investing in the church. Let's keep investing in our lives. Participate. Here's the key thing. Participate in what God is doing in your life. Don't be a spectator or check out. Because a spectator has no influence on the outcome of the game they're watching. They can scream themselves hosts, but they have no impact on how skilled or how well the players play. Participation involves engagement. You have to engage in what God is doing. Not just observe, not just sit down and watch other people do it, because this is not osmosis, this is participation. Participate. So Paul says start with the people in the house. So let me ask you again, how invested are you? Because investing matters in more ways than one. Are you invested in your future? Are you invested in what you're doing in your life? And here's the key thing. Where do you spend your time will speak to where you are investing. When we serve in God's house, we are investing not just in God, but in ourselves. Because when we serve, we're the closest to Jesus, because it takes on the character of Christ, and Christ's character is being formed in us. Because Jesus came to serve and not be served. He's developing character in us. So, are you investing in your kids' future? Are you investing in your education? Are you investing in your family? Are you investing in the church? Where are you invested? Because whatever you're invested in is where you will see a return. For those of you on the verge of giving up, let me give you some insights. This might be a better way to put it. Whatever you are seeing in your life is a result of wherever or whatever you've invested in. Whatever you're seeing in your life is a result of whatever or whoever you're invested in. If you don't like the result, change your investment strategy. Maybe you've been putting in your time and energy in the wrong place and the wrong people, and neglecting the people that God has put in your life and the places that God has brought in your life. Maybe you should be paying attention to what is valuable and not just instant gratification. Maybe it's about reevaluating what's important in your life and who's important in your life. The weight of value we place on things ties directly into how much we paid, waited, or struggled to get it. That's what we value. So, when Paul talks about whatever a man sows, a biblical term for investing, how much time are you investing in your relationship with God? Because Paul also adds, if you read the whole scenario he's talking about, all the verses, he says, if you sow into the natural, this culture, all you're going to reap is what this culture gives you. But if you sow into God and the spiritual things, then you're going to get an eternal reward. A reward that passes on from this life. And the more time you spend with God, the more you're invested in Him, the more you begin to see value in your life. And maybe some things in your life that you don't think are necessary or important, or you don't feel worth anything. But the more time you spend with God, the more you begin to see how much valuable you are, because you see it through His eyes, and you realize that you have a lot of value because He paid the ultimate price for you. You begin to see things from His perspective. So, can I just encourage you to be more invested in the things you value? The best investment, I remind you, is to follow Jesus. Your life will be better because you'll be able to make smarter decisions and better choices, which will result in a better life. And Jesus makes the difference. He brings value to every life. And that's why we encourage everyone to follow Jesus, because that is the best decision that you can make. And if you haven't, you get to decide today. So before I close, let me leave you with 2 questions. And these questions are designed for you to take away, to pray about, to think about, to write, to engage with, and participate with. So number 1, are you investing your time and energy in the right areas of your life? Think about that. Are you investing your time, your energy in the right areas of your life? Maybe there needs to be some reprioritization. Maybe you need to think about what you value. Think about your long term, because your life is going to extend a few more years, right? Where do you want to end up? Is it instant gratification, or do you want some long-term success? Number 2, what do you need to invest in to get the future you want? All of you have a desired future, right? If I ask each and every one of you, what do you have in your life? What do you want in your life? All of you have a picture of a desired future. There's something out there that you want, you desire in your life. What are you doing to get there? If you say, I want to, become a doctor, but you're playing PlayStation, those things don't align. Right? If you're saying, I'm going to be a basketball star, but you've just checked into chef school, those things don't align. I'm not saying chef school is bad or any of that stuff. I'm saying you need to decide what your desired future is and align your path now to get there. Because you can't change when you get there. It's too late. Because investing matters. If you want to see the return you get or want, start investing in your life now. Make a decision for your future now. Because God's invested in your life, and He proved that at Calvary. Are you invested in your own life? So what do you need to invest in to get the future you want?
Thank you for joining us at Transform Church. We hope that you were encouraged by the message, and we are so grateful that you spent time with us. Now, if you've decided to follow Jesus or just have some questions, please get in touch with us by using the email address shown below. We would love to guide you as you make these important steps. If you would like to visit us in person, we would love to meet you. Just let us know when you will be joining us, and we will be here with open arms to welcome you and show you around. If you would like to support Transform Church, please type the link shown below into your web browser, and it will provide you with all your giving options. It's been awesome having you with us, and we hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to apply what you've learned today, and come back and let us know how this has helped you. Bye for now, and we hope you have an amazing week. See you next time.